So now that we've explored some of the basic features in OnShape, I really want to drive home the idea that you can build pretty much anything in this software. And to drive that point home, let's try to build Thor's hammer. And so let's go to Create, Document, and let's call it Thor's hammer. And once it's open, let's go to Sketch on our front view. We'll go to our front view, grab your rectangle tool. I'm going to click on the origin and I'm going to zoom pretty far out here because I want this to be a pretty big rectangle. I want the height over here, the top to bottom, to be more than 6 inches, and I want the width to be more than 10 before I click. And it's asking me for the width, and so I'm going to type in 15 inches. Hit enter, and now it asks me for the height. I'm going to type in 8 inches and hit enter. And you can always go in and add the dimensions after the fact if you missed them in the beginning when you were typing them in. But once you have your rectangle sketched, go to Finish Sketch, go to your home view, hit Extrude, and let's extrude this rectangle out 8 inches. Hit OK. And now you can see we sort of have the general outline of this hammer, but you'll notice that it has these slants on the corners. These slants are called chamfers, and what they do is they sort of flatten out or slant a sharp edge. And so if we look in our browser, we can find the chamfer tool. It's right here. If you click on it, we can tell it to be a distance of 1 inch and hit enter. And I want to click on these 4 outer corners. And so I'm going to click on this corner and this corner, and I'm going to turn it around to the other view to get this 4th corner. Hit OK. But if we look, there are more slants right here on these edges. And so if we go in, well, actually, if I look, I'll notice that these slants are actually a little bit bigger than these ones. And so I'll make these chamfers even bigger. So I'll click on my chamfer tool again. And this time I'm going to tell it to be 1.5 inches. And I'm going to click on these 4 corners on this side. So this one, 2, this one over here is 3, and this one over here is 4. But if you look, it's the exact same on the opposite end. It's sort of a mirror image, and so we can go to the other side. So we'll change our view all the way over here, and we'll do the same thing on these 4 edges. So that's 5, 6, and if you're wondering where I'm getting this, what says 5 plus, it counts for you how many you have down. And so this is the 8th. We've got all 8 of these corners done. I'm going to hit finish, and now you can kind of see how we have this sort of general outline of Thor's hammer. We need to add this circle right here, and we need to add this handle. And so I'll start with this handle right here. I'll put it on this top face. So let's hit sketch and then click on this face. And then let's change our view so we can see what we're looking at here. And I'm going to grab my circle tool. And I'm just going to put it down somewhere in the center. And click. And I'm going to give this circle a diameter of 1.2 inches. And I want to center this circle. And to center it, I'm going to use dimensions. And you may recall the entire depth was 8 inches. And so I'm going to click on the center of my circle, and I'm going to go not to this line right here, but to this outer line, this bottommost line. I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag and click again. I'm going to tell this to be half of 8, which is 4 inches. And if you're wondering why I went to this line instead of this one, if I go to my home view, you can see this was the edge that we actually measured from end to end. This is 1.5 inches closer. We would have had to do math to center it from this edge. So it saved us a little bit of math to not measure it from this edge, but rather the original edge before the chamfer. And so if I go back to my top view, we can do the same thing. Don't go to this edge, go to the outermost edge. We'll click here and click on the center of our circle. And this time it's going to be, if you recall, the width was 15 inches from end to end. And so we're going to do half of that. And if you're bad at math, OnShape will actually do it for you if you type in 15 divided by 2 and hit enter. And it'll figure it out. It turns out half of 15 is 7.5. And so now I have a fully centered circle. I'm going to go ahead and finish my sketch and go to my isometric view. And I'm going to extrude this circle. And let's extrude it 12 inches. Hit enter. And OK. And there we go. We have that handle. And so now all we need to do is add these circles on the other end. And so we need to go to the other end of our shape. I'll change my view in my view cube. And so I want to start a sketch on this face. And if I look at it from the bottom, we can start working. I'm going to grab my circle tool, but instead of measuring it and centering it, I'm going to show you a new trick. So let me actually change the view back to isometric. And instead of drawing a circle, I'm going to find my project geometry feature. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to click on this centered circle that we drew before. And if I click on it, you'll notice what happens is it projects that shape onto the sketch plane that we're working on now. And so now we have a completely centered circle, which we can use to center our next circle. And so I'm going to grab my circle tool again and have it have the same center as the previous circle and drag it out. And I'm going to give it a diameter of 4.5 inches and hit enter. Next, I'm going to finish my sketch and click on the corner of my view cube to change my view. Hit extrude. And I want to make sure I get both circles, not just this outer one, but also this inner one, so it all comes out as one shape. And I think I want it to tell it to come out, let's say, 0.125 inches. And hit enter. And it comes out just a little bit. And if that's not enough, we can tell it to be a little bit more. We can tell it to be 0.15 inches if we want it to go a little bit further out. And then hit check. And if we look, there's actually a smaller circle that also extrudes out, so we can grab that as well. That's pretty easy. We'll start a sketch on this plane. Go to our bottom view. And again, I'm going to use my project geometry tool so I don't have to recenter a circle. I'm going to click on this previous circle to use its center, grab my circle tool, make it coincident with the previous center, and I'm going to tell it to be just a little bit smaller than the previous one. I'll tell it to be, I'll click and say 4 inches this time, just so it's a little bit smaller. And I'll finish my sketch. I'll change my view to this corner so I can see what's going on. Hit extrude. And I don't want to click on this outer circle. I want to make sure I click on the inner circle. It is possible to click on the outer circle, and you'll see what happens. It sort of creates this O-ring on the outside. I'm going to hit cancel, hit extrude again, and this time I'm going to make sure I click on the inner circle. And again, I'm going to tell it to go out 0.15, I believe is what I used last time, and hit enter. Hit finish sketch, and there we go. Now we have Thors hammer. And if you want to play with it a little bit more, you can to make it look a little bit more like Thors hammer. Try to add some more of the features or some of the colors to it. You are more than welcome to. So have fun with it, but we are finished with this shape.